everyone. Now is the time to actually ask your questions. We have members from the Manila Bulletin team. Where are you? On the floor with microphones on hand. All you have to do is raise your hand if you want to join in the discussion. This is a nice time to actually pick the brains of our brand speakers and our keynote speaker, should you want to expound on anything that they brought up this morning. But first, Architect Charisse, what was your impression on our four brand speakers earlier today?
I'm actually very happy to be invited here. I'm actually on leave, so I'm not teaching this semester in UST, but I'm happy to be back. And I was very impressed. William, I know him. Recruit ko rin siya sa faculty back then. And I also actually worked for Casas and Architects, one of the top 10 architecture firms. I handled Megaworld projects back then. I'm also Cebuana, so I'm happy to find Aboiti's Power here. So it's very close to home today. So about the sustainability, my master's program was a Master of Architecture focusing on sustainability. But for my practice, I said, bakit ako in-invite today? Because my practice is actually focused on interior architecture or architectural interiors. So the subject today was so, big scale. But it's good to know that from a big scale, you have these measures already. And us that are working on a smaller scale can also, so parang we meet in between. So I'm very happy to hear all these programs because when we work with projects, we're so involved with so many things, but it's good that this is in the forefront.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Architect Charisse. Anybody have a question, please, from the floor? You are, of course, this is for you. Yes, we have a question over there. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I'm from the Faculty of Engineering. My name is Carlito Gutierrez. Thank you very much to all of you who had shared, the practices that you are doing with regards to sustainability. However, there is something that I would want to be clarified in, kasi I think one of the speakers is encouraging us to use electricity more so that we would be, up at par with our counterparts. However, parang this is coming in conflict with the information shared earlier by Mayor that we are actually producing more harm to our environment when we use more electricity, as she had pointed out earlier. So how do we balance our goal in ensuring that sustainability would be part of the culture of every organization, and with the the overall overarching goal that we take care of our environment? Thank you.
Thank you for that, sir. I believe that was my conversation with Sui. It's not necessarily to push using electricity, but it was about the prosperity energy way that the Filipinos still have yet to go for. Sorry, Sui, would you like to jump in on this?
I'm not certain, Carlito, is that right? If you're referring to my presentation, is that correct? Yeah, so let me be clear lang, no? So we're not telling people to use electricity just for the sake of using electricity or energy. Absolutely not, right? So that's not the case. What we're saying is that with prosperity comes more energy use, di ba? Masdan nyo lang kanina yung slide ko that the most developed countries, right? There's no such thing as a highly developed country that is low energy use. It's not. Electricity or energy and development comes hand in hand. So, gusto ba natin umunlad as a country? Yes, di ba? And it is inevitable that by becoming more prosperous and developed, that we will be using more energy. What is the world doing now? We're trying to decouple development with CO2 emissions, di ba? So kapag ka dumating yung punto wherein more renewable energy is becoming more prevalent, cheaper, and more so energy storage. Di ba? Importante na may store natin ng malinis na energy upang magamit natin pagka hindi siya nagpo-produce. Now when all of these things become possible, you will be able to decouple prosperity or development, di ba, with that of CO2 emissions, yet still have a high quality of life.
Definitely, here's to generating energy and using it more efficiently. Don't just generate na yan, tumataas na yung energy sources natin, tapos sige lang, gasta tayo ng gasta. It is not that at all. The whole world needs energy to run on energy, but that is also the point with the responsibility of using it responsibly. Correct, Sui?
Yep,
Anybody else
correct.
who would like to jump in on that? Yes, go ahead, Ollie of Arthaland.
Yeah, I think, I agree na we need the energy. The thing is, there's steps kasi towards going to net zero or zero carbon. First kasi, since we really need to use energy, is reduction. Right? You have to reduce your usage first. It's not no usage, but reduction in terms of your usage. Efficiency comes with it. It may come hand in hand in terms of new technologies that comes into play every year. Actually, there's new different kinds of technology that comes that reduces the total energy that you use. Diba? So, reduction, after reduction, then you go towards renewable energy. Right? So what's left that is still being used in terms of energy, you transfer to renewable. That way it goes hand in hand with what was discussed earlier.
Sorry, architect, anybody on the other side, especially since we're talking about energy. Yeah, okay, moving on. Thank you. Anybody else have a question on the floor? Yes, over there. Thank you. Come on. We have a mic heading your way.
Mic test. So good morning to the floor and of course to our speakers. I'm also from the Faculty of Engineering. My name is Luke, and as advocates towards sustainability, I would first like to ask if you, as part of the private sector, are going to expand to be more inclusive towards our I'd say lower spectrum of the social classes of the Philippines, especially towards the working sector who are living paycheck to paycheck, day to day, considering that sustainability, regardless of whatever progress has already been made towards improving it, is still expensive and it has a very high capital cost. Are we looking towards expounding and including all of these people who are part of the working class, since knowing that it is expensive, may hirapan silang sumabay dito sa mga balak nating ma-overcome na mga challenges. Thank you.
I think it comes to mind again, one of our speakers said, please vote wisely, because that's not just a private sector, but Mayor Binay already left, but that's also, I think, what government should do, first and foremost. But I have no doubt most of the companies who are here on deck have CSR programs. Ollie, would you like to start?
Yeah, actually, ours is not just CSR, but to your point, Luke, no, it's really getting sustainability to the broader market. So I see it as three things that we're doing. One is the one that I mentioned earlier, which is Una Apartments. That's more towards the mid-scale working class people. But then again, like what you mentioned, paano yung even the lower social class? Actually, we have two things. One is, I think this was last year, we signed with the national government, with National Home Mortgage and the DHSUD, that we want to develop the first sustainable socialized housing in the country. So for everyone's information, when you're a developer, part of your total development cost, which is about 5%, goes to a fund, no, with DSHUD. No? So that fund, 5%, you have two choices. One, it goes to a fund lang, sila bahala on what they do with it, no, in terms of infrastructure or housing for the people. Or second, you do it yourself. No? So in this agreement that we signed with National Home Mortgage and DSHUD, we were able to agree that kami na yung gagawa using that 5% of development fund to be able to provide affordable, socialized housing na sustainable to everyone. So that's one. Number two, partnership also with National Home Mortgage. Again, this is affordability of sustainability projects. They have a new program. Well, it's not new na. People just don't talk about it. It's called Balay Verde. Okay. Balay Verde is a financing program for the lower social class or for people who work. No? What is this? If your development that is residential, now let's focus on residential, we're talking about homes, is certified sustainable, that it meets criteria of sustainability of some international certification bodies, you will be able to get a loan for 30 years with a fixed interest rate of 4.5% with a maximum loanable amount of 6 million. Meaning, sa mga bangko ngayon, the interest rates are 8%, 7-8%. You get it at 4.5%, fixed pa for 30 years. Para lang ma-afford mo what you call a sustainable, affordable housing program. No, so those are the steps that we've already undertaken, no, to be able to make sure that we can provide sustainable housing for everyone. Again, our goal is to say sustainability para sa lahat to. It's not just for the people who can afford it.
So, do our other brand partners want to chime in? Yes.
I have one
Voice is power.
couple of examples. Now look, so yung may tinatawag na lifeline rate sa mga gumagamit ng kuryente, no, mga customers. So these people who consume very little, so as you say, no, yung mga lower segments of our socioeconomic classes, they'll be able to pay cheaper electricity rates, no, kasi maliit lang kanilang konsumo. So there's a program by the government like that. And then our company, yung mga distribution companies like Visayan Electric at Davao Light, meron kami tinatawag na rural electrification program. No? At saka yun, we extend to the farthest reaches, mga bukid, mga bundok, upang mambigyan na kuryente yung ibang mga tao. In fact, last month or 2 months ago, we ran a feature about it. There was a lady who's 74 years old. 74 years old. First time lang niya magkakuryente. Sa Cebu. Okay? And imagine mo, since they live out there, malamang lifeline rate pa siya. Diba? So may kuryente na, malamang may running water pa, may kuryente, may tubig. Diba? And one of the things that they bought in the barangay was a freezer para makakapagbenta sila ng yelo. Dati, wala silang freezer, wala silang yelo sa kanilang barangay for 74 years, at least for the lifetime of one person there. Right? My third example is this thing called the ER1-94. Lahat ng generation plants ay nagtatabi ng 1% ng energy sales, and it's given to their host community. The host community can spend it on 4 different items. No? I think education, etc., etc. And one of them was rural electrification. So the people in the barangays that host our operations get a share of the funds of the electricity that we sell and generate and sell, and they can use it to electrify their community. Lalong-lalo doon sa mga far-flung areas nila. So there.
Isa?
Cleofe,
If I may chime in, this is exactly the reason why our Sampaguita project and our Circle of Happiness does not want to go too far, but hang on to developing our core. We have almost 3,000 employees, developing the psyche, the belief in what we can do, and enabling not just the marginalized segment, but our people themselves who have had their first step while they are already working. In the hospitality industry, 60% are labor. These are your housekeepers. These are your servers in the F&B. And these are the ones that do the hard work and the heavy lifting to serve our guests. And taking care of the business is our way of ensuring that you're given the capability to give more to the ones you have employed already. Case in point, when we had the pandemic. We did not retrench our people. And that, I think, sustained the families of our employees. We also make sure that we take care of the business so that our shareholders are happy. There's the capacity of our company to expand. That's why we're the biggest, because our business model also enables us to have access to capitalization. The framework of the business is there for us to be able to open more and more hotels, to give employment to the ones that are having a hard time getting jobs. We just recently opened the Grand West Side Hotel, which is the country's largest hotel with 1,500 room keys. We may say that the industry is probably one of the slowest to adapt to hospitality because of the verticals that we have, the level of energy consumption that we use. But at the same time, there has to be a balance, not just for the marginalized segment, but also to enable our country to employ more and make sure that there are job opportunities for OFWs who have been all over the world serving other nations and races so that they come home. And these are stories that are very precious when you operate hotels. The opportunities that you give for employment, the realization of how the OFWs actually want to go home and be closer to their families who they are sending to college and universities, and everyone who have been struggling to make ends meet.
So opportunity for all, definitely, so far. Yes, of course, Shell. Nate, go ahead. Architect muna, sige. Nate, ikaw ha. Sorry, not Nate. Carl, everybody would like to reply to your question. Go ahead, architect.
No, I think we have to disabuse ourselves of the notion that sustainability is expensive. Sustainability is actually about efficiency, about saving. Let's forget for a minute about the brands, corporations, right? Sustainability is about consuming less. Be a vegetarian, stop eating beef, walk to work or walk to school, right? Live closer to where you work, you live, it's all about our choices in lifestyle. So I think it's about sustainable lifestyles rather than technologies, more than anything else. So it's actually cheaper to be sustainable.
Thank you for that, architect. And Nate from Shell.
Actually, connected to that, in the Philippines kasi, lalo na for local companies, there isn't really much incentive for them to lower their carbon emissions. So when we approach them with sustainability solutions, the way that we promote it to them is these solutions will actually help you lower your total cost of ownership, because it will help you lessen your fuel consumption. It will promote a more efficient way of driving your vehicle. So it's connected to what Sir said. It's lowering your fuel consumption. And then to the question that was asked earlier, one of the pillars of our Powering Progress strategy is powering lives. So what this means is supporting the communities where we operate in and promoting a more inclusive society. So I mentioned earlier that in our recycling activities, when we recycle the lubricants bottles of our customers, we have 3 eco hubs that employ local communities to actually do these recycling activities. And we also have nature-based solutions projects around the world, and a couple are also being built here in the Philippines. So just for context, nature-based solutions are projects that create carbon credits. So carbon credits is a way for companies to offset their unavoidable carbon emissions. So for example, when you plant a tree or when you do reforestation or afforestation projects, those trees absorb carbon emissions from the air and therefore produces carbon credits. So in these nature-based solutions projects, we just don't, it's not just limited to forestation or reforestation or afforestation. and protecting the biodiversity of those communities, we also hire local communities and create livelihoods and jobs for them. Yep.
Thank you, Nate.
I think it's 12 noon now, so I know a lot of people will be hoping that we end soon and we can let you guys have lunch. No, but before we let you go, I would just like to ask all the panel speakers here, if you could think of one most important takeaway that you want these students to get as they leave the auditorium today, what would you want that to be? Because I mean, beyond the companies that you represent or the professions you're talking about, you're here today to try to really raise the consciousness of sustainability, but at their level, what do you feel they can do in terms of, embracing a lifestyle that has sustainability in it? You can start with Shell.
Yeah.
So I think the main takeaway is that our target towards net zero emissions is teamwork. So that's why we try to work with our customers. We try to work with communities. We try to work with government agencies, because it takes the effort of the entire society for us to reach the sustainability goals that we committed to in the Paris Agreement. And it's not just limited to just one solution. So connected to what was said earlier, it's a three-prong approach. So the companies here offer solutions that will help our customers first to avoid emissions. So in Shell, that's, for example, having an EV vehicle or transitioning to renewable energy. The next pillar is reducing your emissions. So that's, in Shell, that's using carbon neutral products. And for the unavoidable emissions, there is also carbon offsetting. So it's a suite of solutions that helps communities accelerate towards their net zero ambitions.
And hopefully that suite of solutions can also be reflected in your student work. Thank you.
We'd like to hear from William now.
Yeah, architect?
Architect.
I think if it's one takeaway, it's about how being sustainable is about having a small footprint. And if we have a small footprint as we go through life, then we leave more of the earth for everyone else. And I think that's the only thing that's important.
Thank you.
Cleofe.
If there's one thing I'd like the students and also the faculty to take home from this forum, I'd like us to really have trust in the existing private governance as well as public governance. We're not anymore in the phase where we just want sustainability. I think we also need to celebrate that a lot of the companies are really taking sustainability to heart, because what I want everyone to feel after this is that it's not as bad as it is. Yes, the picture can be very alarming, but there are so many hands working towards it already. One is our presence here, and there are so many more efforts out there. Even if we talk about just our country's efforts, there are a lot of things that are being done, and the future is not as dark as it is.
It's a collective effort.
It's a collective effort, and more governance and more projects are being done to make sure that sustainability happens. I'm saying trust the adults, trust the existing leaders, and trust your companies, the conglomerates in this country that are really putting their hearts out to making sure that sustainability happens for your future.
Cheers. Thank you for
Thank
that,
you,
Cleofe.
Cleofe.
Sui.
Yes, I think the number one takeaway should be to remain informed. No? So if you can please remain inquisitive about sustainability and energy, be inquisitive and be informed. Because once you get more informed, you can then engage. You can engage with others like you can engage with somebody who's more informed. You can even engage with people who are less informed. Diba? once you're informed and then you engage, then at some point you can get involved, di ba? So once you're involved, you can make decisions by yourself, invest in energy efficiency, sustainability, di ba? In your lifestyle, in your family, in your company, di ba? So there.
From school level to barangay level and then eventually corporate level
And-
once you're part of the
Yeah.
workforce.
And in the search to be informed, know your source.
Thank you for
Because
that.
also
Manila Bulletin.
there is a lot of noise out there.
Truth, the truth. Of course, Ollie, Artalan.
Two things. One, visit our booth downstairs. Yan yung first key takeaway. No? Visit Artaland, work with us, and learn about sustainability. Number two, I think it's learning, absorbing, and then applying it. Diba? You're in a good position now because you're in a very good school. And this is where you are molded into what you become later on. But important thing is when you learn it, how to apply it the rest of your life is something different. And learning sustainability is the same way. We wouldn't have the first net zero carbon building in the world if we didn't learn it, if we didn't understand it. We wouldn't have the first LEED Platinum neighborhood, LEED home in Asia Pacific if we didn't understand it first. People are just afraid to understand what's there. The people are afraid to learn and how to apply it because there's a risk of being the first. Diba? So for me, learn it. You're in a really good position in a good school. And then afterwards, apply it towards your work, towards what you're doing. And for sure, you will be able to do something that's first as well, not only for you, maybe for the country, and maybe for the company that you work with. So that's all. Thank you.
Cheers! Let's give our speakers a round of applause. May I ask our speakers to step forward first? Again, Oliver Chan of Arthalan, Sui Suarez of Aboitiz Power, Nate De Jesus of Shell, Cleofe Albiso of Mega World Hotels and Resorts, and architect William T. Jr. step forward first for a photo of only our speakers. Please stand by, Architect Charisse. And